Today I'm going to unbox the KingKong 2 Pro Controller and adapter by GuliKit and demo them on an Xbox Series X. So I want to take a minute first to explain why I'm leaving behind the original Xbox Series X controllers. It's all about stick drift. I sort of anecdotally was figuring I was getting about 6 months out of a controller before it started developing stick drift. So I actually etched into the back of a controller here. August 2022 is when this one started developing gradual drift in one of its sticks. So I got this one recently. I got it April 2023. So 6 months kind of corroborates my sort of gut feeling I had about the life I was getting out of these controllers. I want to talk a little bit more about this. Here is my graveyard of controllers, and this is just a subset of them. Some of these are from the Xbox One era. Drift, 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 probably drift, and you can see that maybe you can see that I've attempted a lot of repairs on these. You can see inside this controller without the caps on, these are the modules for the thumbsticks. They look like this. This is a replacement module that I bought, and I don't know how much I want to talk about this, but when you move the controller along an axis, it causes a wiper to move on the inside here, and when it's at one extreme, a certain value is sent to this pin. On the other extreme is sent to the other pin, and when it's at neutral, the value registers in this middle pin. I can peel this back, yes. Here, this wiper, this is the wiper that tends to be problematic. I don't know if I can get that to focus, but when, I know you can see this really well, when this stick moves, it transfers to this wiper, and this wiper will actually move. I probably can't show this on camera, but it's very physical. When this stick moves, there's a lot of physical movement going on here, transferring data to these pins. It's physical. It wears down over time. Sooner or later, it's going to happen. I've tried a lot of ways to fix this. Trying to replace these modules was one of them. It doesn't work. I broke down and just went back to buying controllers. I hope this is one of the last controllers I buy. So let's just chuck this to the bin. And let's have a look at the GuliKit controller. I think I'm going to start with the adapter first. This box just has a bit of instructions and the adapter itself. It looks a lot like a USB stick. All right, and there's a button on the side. The instructions, I saw these online. So there are instructions for connecting this to an Xbox platform, a PlayStation platform, Switch, and I think PC was mentioned off the top. Yeah. Okay, so it's a fairly universal controller. Let's have a look at it. This is a true unboxing here. So this was not sent to me. I purchased this myself. The controller I got off Amazon. The adapter is new. It's very new as of April 2023. So that I got off AliExpress, which was actually the first time I've purchased something from there, but it went very smoothly. All right, let's look what's inside here. We've got button caps. And a pinch tool. The rationale for that I'll get to in a second. Here's the controller. Comes in a little cozy plastic shell case. Alright, there's the controller. And other things. This looks like a product placement. Sticker, instructions. There are instructions. I'm not going to do this on camera, but there are instructions for doing firmware updates. And some more instructions, including calibrating the joystick. Okay, but what I really want to look at after I show the last thing on the box, which is, I'm going to guess it's a cable of some sort. USB-A to USB-C. I suppose this is what recharges the controller. It has an internal rechargeable battery. And if you look closely, and if I can get this to focus, you can see the platforms there. It's not really focusing well, but we've got, oh, Android. There's a logo for Android, Windows, Switch. So let me just discuss first impressions really quick. Because the Xbox controller, I think it's a fabulous controller. You know it's a fabulous controller when they barely changed anything from the Xbox One to the Series X, except adding the screen or the capture button, a couple of changes to the D-pad, grips, a couple of very minor changes, but the controller, for all intents and purposes, this is the same. It's an excellent controller. It feels good. Nice buttons. Crappy stick drift. It feels like the Xbox controller with batteries is heavier than the GuliKit controller. I'm going to actually weigh these. This is about 8 to 10 ounces, about 220 milligrams. This is 8 ounces on the dot, about 210 milligrams. So it is lighter. This controller by Xbox or Microsoft is a little heftier than the GuliKit here. Yeah, the buttons feel fine. They feel good. I think there's a little slightly less travel on the triggers. Smooth thumbsticks. The D-pad. It's got a traditional D-pad, not the reworked one. But the buttons feel good. The shape is remarkably similar. I mean, you can just see the shape between these two controllers. There's a lot of similarities here. Even the grip on the back feels the same. But just the contours, the way it sits in your hand is very similar to the Xbox Series X controller. So I think it feels good. I'll do lag tests, actual play tests later on, but initial impressions is that it feels a lot like the Xbox controller. The travel is noticeably less travel. That's probably the biggest thing I feel so far. I forgot to talk about these button faces and this tool. So This controller is originally intended as a Nintendo Switch accessory. So the button configurations are, this is really hard to see, but YXBA, right, for a Nintendo Switch. Those pairs of buttons are swapped on an Xbox controller. So it's XY and AB. Each pair is inverted, right? When you press these buttons, or at least the same physical position of these buttons, like this button here, when you're using this on an Xbox, it's going to be like pressing the X button, although it says Y. What this lets you do is take this tweezers and pull the button face off. As I understand it, I haven't done this, but as I understand it, without taking the controller apart, you can take these tweezers, pull the button face off, and use these supplied ones to put in their place, so that visually it just says X and Y and B and A like it would on an Xbox controller. If you're okay with just functionally ignoring that, the controller will function the same way. The button face has nothing to do with the actual internal button press. Hope that makes sense. Anyway, I'm not going to do that in this video. Maybe I'll do that in a subsequent video. We'll see. So before I set these up, let's take a look at the product pages real quick. Okay, I'm on the GuliKit website here. I'm going to go to the products page, and I'm going to have a look at the wireless adapter and the KingKong 2 controller. I want to point out a couple of things here. I guess let's start with the controller. This is the module inside the controller. It doesn't look much different than the Microsoft. What is the huge difference, because it's a Hall effect sensor, which I believe uses magnets. And the big thing here is there's much less physical components to wear down. So the net result is a controller that doesn't develop stick drift. And on the adapter page, I just want to point out the wide range of support here. So there's PC support. This is a really good graphic here. It takes all of these controllers, and through the adapter you can use those controllers on these platforms. I actually have a Switch Pro controller. I've already tested this on my Xbox Series X, and it completely works. I'm going to try their controller, the GuliKit controller, through the adapter on the Xbox Series X momentarily. I think here's another good graphic that shows the universal support here. The last thing worth pointing out is actually a couple things. Boot by original controllers on these platforms. I'll get to that in the setup part. And finally, disclaimer about a subset of controllers that are not supported with the adapter. That's about it. Let's get on to the setup. Now I'm going to set up the GuliKit controller through the adapter. And the first step is to plug the original controller, Xbox original controller, into the adapter. Next step is to plug the adapter into any free USB port on the Xbox. I don't know if you can see this, but there's a LED flashing. Anyway, there's a button on the side. I'm going to hold it. Oh, now it's flashing faster. So now it's in pairing mode. And on the GuliKit controller, I'll put it in pairing mode. I think it has to be on, I'm going to switch modes here from direct input. That's on switch mode. maybe this is Windows X mode. So let me make sure this is back in pairing mode. Yes. And now I'll hold this to put into pairing mode. Ah, there. I just felt a rumble on this. And now it's on the first light here, and the light has stopped flashing there. So now you can see the controller, the GuliKit controller. I can get around my Xbox with it. I want to point out that this setting, the setup that I just did, is a one-time configuration. So whenever you use this KingKong controller, your Xbox controller must always be connected to the console like this. So if you recall from the product page, it had some words like boot by original controller. That's what this means. So you need your original controller, and then once it's set up like this, you have to still boot from the controller, but then you can use this controller. So I wanna test this out. I'm gonna shut my console off. I'm gonna turn it back on. So this should prove that this setup is a one-time operation, but this sort of configuration of needing the console connected to the adapter is required permanently. So yeah, so it recognizes the controller again without any pairing. So one thing I want to check is I want to go into the system, no, the devices, and I want to check the accessories. Yeah, so this is really interesting to me because right now there's apparently only one accessory connected, namely this Xbox Series X controller. And if I test it, you can see button presses are registering. But if I then use the GuliKit controller, the same button presses are registering on this controller. So I would describe it, this isn't an independent controller. This controller depends on this controller. It's almost like this controller is piggybacking this controller, or if you want to think of it as a host controller and a guest controller, and they're sort of all connected together. So while I'm in this utility, I'm just going to press a little bit, use the controller. It seems responsive. Face buttons, trigger, shoulder, sticks, D-pad. So I think I'll maybe do another test using another utility and a game now. Alright, so next I'm going to use this game controller tester app, third-party app, and just to get an idea of any potential lag on this controller. I don't notice a difference. If this were the Xbox One Series X original controller, it all seems to be responding fairly well. So I think now I'm going to use this controller in a game and trying to get a sense of what it feels like in game. Alright, I'm going to test the GuliKit controller out in game. Try to get a sense for what it feels like in game. Any lag, if I notice any lag or anything like that. Feels nice. Feels smooth. one thing I'm curious about, these buttons, for example, the home button. Okay, that's like the Xbox central button. This seems to not have an effect. This has a settings icon. I don't know what that would do. Oh, that did something. Oh, okay, and these are your menu buttons. Left menu, right menu, sure. I like this. I mean, it feels good. It feels a lot like the Microsoft original Xbox Series X controller. Doesn't seem laggy. So I don't know. I think I'll have to put this through its paces before I can give any final impressions about this controller and this setup. But you know, I'll be satisfied if the Hall effect sensors actually prevent stick drift from rearing its ugly head. So let me know in the comments if you have this controller, what you think of it, how it held up over time. Thanks for watching.